Give me a nod when you're ready. Shooter's ready. Stand by.
Hello everyone, this is Matt Gunlock with the 3GIQ podcast. I am down here in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Me and Sergeant Glomba and Staff Sergeant Go King are currently down here training 2nd Recon. While down here, I had a chance to sit down with Captain Frank Gao. Him and I, we met earlier this year at Marine Corps Marksmanship Competition East. He came up for championships, and then we happened to meet each other. We kind of completely forgot that we were going to be competing at a tactical games match together, and we got to hang out a lot while out there in West Virginia competing at the team event. Before I turn it over to him, I made a post today on Facebook that my retirement was officially approved and everything, and for those who commented and liked and interacted, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I haven't had a chance to, like or respond to anybody because it's been a long day out here. We're out here doing what we enjoy doing. Yes, we like to go out and compete, but at the same time, what we like to do more is go out and teach the skills that we learn in competition. I know we've kind of, killed that one a lot by saying it, but in all honesty, it's the truth. The guys enjoy teaching those who want to learn, and these guys have really impressed us. Other than that, like I said, I have Captain Frank Gao down here. Sir, can you go ahead and talk to us about yourself some?
Yeah, sure thing, and thanks for having me. Captain Frank Gao. I am a first-generation Chinese immigrant coming from Hangzhou. Grew up in San Jose, California. Started my Marine Corps career as a mortarman. I enlisted in the reserves first as I was going through college just to pay my way through. Commissioned through the PLC program, became a communications officer, currently serving as the company commander for General Support Company at 8th Combat Battalion here in Lejeune.
I had no idea that you were a mortarman.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I honestly, if you gave me a plotting board, I could probably still spin you some data.
I love FDC stuff. It's really fun. Like, just, I'm not great with math, but that is nothing but mechanical math. But, it's math that actually makes a difference. You can see what your problem-solving skills can actually do on the ground.
Absolutely. And I'll admit, being in Lejeune's a little nostalgic for me. Every time I drive home to Hubert, I pass by the observation post where we had our mortar fire back when, was it 2013?
What is that, OP2 over on the right-hand side?
Lucky's Mound?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, nostalgic place for me.
Oh, yeah. So, you've been a competitive shooter for a while. You said, I remember you telling me you started in 3-gun. You do a lot more USPSA in this area. We kind of mentioned that we both met at a tactical games match earlier last month. What else do you do? Give us a quick breakdown of your marksmanship history.
Yeah, so like I mentioned in the beginning, first-generation Chinese immigrant, and my parents weren't into guns at all. I never shot a gun until I joined the Marine Corps. Had a revelation a few years in that shooting has an entirely different dimension and is a lot of fun outside the Marine Corps. So I started getting into guns. I went to a 3-gun competition for the first time. Just took my pump shotgun, my California compliant AR, and my .226. I did terrible, but I had a blast. And from there, I got into USPSA, got into tactical games, and 2.5 years later, here I am.
How many tactical games matches have you shot to date?
I have shot 3, and we can get into them later. 3 official ones, 1 skirmish. So 2 individual, 1 team match, 1 skirmish.
Okay. And through text message earlier, over the past week, you said you just made master class with USPSA, right?
Yeah, Carry Optics. It was right before the North Carolina sectional. And so I was A in production for the longest time, swapped it up to a new division, and now hit M.
How was the North Carolina section match for you?
It was a great match. I'm really lucky that I got to that my spouse is as understanding as she is. So I'm currently a geo bachelor. She's up in Massachusetts pursuing her degree, and originally I was going to volunteer the entire weekend as a RO. She told me last minute she was coming down, and we're able to shift it to where I shot on Friday and was able to spend the rest of the weekend with her. The match was great. Bit of an embarrassing disclosure. I shot that North Carolina sectional 2 years ago, and that was my first DQ.
Oh.
Yeah.
It happens to everybody.
It does, but...
It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
It was the fact that I drove 3 hours on my own to get there, psyched myself out, got halfway through, fell on the wrong side of 180 trap, and then just got to drive home just stewing afterwards.
At least it wasn't the first stage.
Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Count my blessings.
I've RO'd many matches, and I'll bring somebody up, Rob Velastica, if you're listening. I'm sorry, but I remember at Blue Ridge a couple years ago, the last Blue Ridge we did, it was me and Chris Wiseman running a stage, and it was all pretty much going uphill. We were the only 2 ROs on that stage, whereas everybody else had 3 ROs, and it was the first stage, of the day of the first day of the competition, and there was more or less a left or in a right lateral limit. There was a right lateral limit, and his rifle just happened to go past that lateral limit, and we had to tell him to stop. And it's heartbreaking. Like, I'll be honest with you, I don't really care if I offend anybody from any organization and from any discipline. I view a lot of the older crowd in USPSA as a bunch of boomers who want to see how many people that they can DQ at a match. Not everybody, but there are a lot of guys like that out there, and it's kind of fucked up that they do that. But in the 3-gun community, whenever it's me as an RO, I'm trying to figure out the best way to where I can make a decision on how they are not DQ'd. Like, it pains me that somebody gets DQ'd, but if it's for a safety reason, I'm sorry. You did what you did, and it's time to go home. And most of the time, people are generally really understanding. It's just how you handle it as an RO and how they handle it as the competitor. And if you handle it as a professional, then they're going to handle it just as professionally as you do.
Yeah, I completely agree. I've seen disqualifications where the RO kind of treats the shooter like they're a child, and like, hey, you did this wrong, you should be ashamed. But I've also seen it, and I've given out disqualifications where it's like, hey, you did this is why that's wrong. I hope this doesn't deter you from your enthusiasm for shooting sports. I want to see you the next time we hold a match.
Yep.
Please come back out and don't take it personal.
It's as if some people are just scared of guns, and they want. That's how I feel sometimes, especially with certain disciplines. But the more you treat somebody like a child, the less they're going to be willing to come back to that match. And as an RO, you're a representative of that match.
Absolutely. And
you as a person should be representing, and you should be selling the match to them. It's a business. There has been money paid for that person to come and enjoy their time there. You are providing a service to them. That's how I look at things. I think it's a pretty good perspective on how to treat things, and those who do a disservice to those competitions should not be there anymore.
Yeah, I agree. The bottom line is shooting disciplines like USPSA and 3-gun, they thrive off the community at large. The fact that there are so many matches available for people to shoot means that people are going to be more likely to continue after they have started. And if you tell me you're a new shooter, I will do everything in my power to make sure you have a good first match. I will walk you through stage. I will tell you what I see, and most of the time I'll just start off with, hey, if you can get through this day without DQing and you don't forget a target, then you've done really well. And I want shooters to come back because I want the community to expand.
So to go on to when you and I met, it was Marine Corps Marksmanship Competition East. How did you find out about that competition?
So I've been tracking you guys for a while. To take a step back when I was at Com Squadron 38, I served with a Captain Jared Dalton, and he showed up with these weird-looking medals in his alphas, and then he showed me the entire chest of medals. So he actually was the shooting team OIC. I would want to say back in like the 2014-15 time frame. So he told me about his time with the team, and that kind of got me interested in the what used to be division matches, and now we call MIC-MICs. As soon as I got to second intel, that first year, COVID derailed that first MIC-MIC. You know, we had the team together and everything. Everyone was super pumped, and it got canceled due to those circumstances. So the next year, I lobbied my battalion commander. I was like, hey, I want to bring a team. I want to take as many Marines as possible. And these Marines are going to get their rifle and pistol quals knocked out, and they're going to get some really good training out of it. So I sold it, and then I brought a team out to the MIC-MIC East, and then the rest is history.
What was your experience there being at MIC-MIC East?
So I'd been shooting USPSA for a while, and I was kind of happy to see that you guys had gravitated towards action shooting, like the multi-gun and USPSA kind of stuff. And at the time, my competition pistol was the new Beretta 92X Performance, so going back to the M9 felt like going home. But it was a good match. The best part of it was exposing my Marines to higher level shooting concepts. Like the first time you make Marines realize that there's something beyond just static shooting, like standing in place, doing hammered pairs, that kind of scripted stuff, then it really starts to open up, and they start to see shooting in a brand new light. And so really, like, I enjoyed it, obviously, getting to get out there and learn from the team and send rounds. But it was really cool to, get my Marines that exposure.
Hell yeah.
That's Staff Sergeant Go King in the background. If you heard him, he was opening up. We currently have a case of these Bang Mix hard seltzers that me and Staff Sergeant Go King are enjoying at the moment, if anybody is wondering. They're actually pretty good.
We do not endorse nor receive any sponsorships from this brand. We merely recommend it. It is tasteful.
No sponsorships yet.
Not yet. Yeah.
Not until I retire. So to kind of bring it back from that quick distraction, all right, so you obviously finished within the top 10% of Marine Corps Marksmanship Competition East. We've invited you out to Marine Corps Championships. What was your thoughts on the format, the way we did it this year? Because typically it would be 2 weeks of straight bullseye rifle, and if we still had a bullseye pistol team, it would be 2 weeks of bullseye pistol as well. And then we'd go into, a few days of action shooting. With the way that we did things this year, what's your thoughts on how we ran it?
I thought it was awesome. So it was just a week straight. Like, we had 1 day of FAMFire, and then the rest of it was just competition. So we went from USPSA to hit factor rifle to multi-gun to PRS to steel challenge, and that was all in the span of like 4 to 5 days. I thought the format was great. It exposed me to a lot of shooting disciplines that I hadn't tried before, and I'm more likely to go out and seek like PRS and steel challenge. And it was an honor, and I'm grateful that my command was able to let me go for that week just to get that experience as well.
Awesome. Yeah. I think we all really enjoyed the way the format was too. Besides other reasons in which we enjoyed it that way, it exposed people to a lot of different disciplines that you wouldn't normally get exposed to, and it's completely free. Like we've mentioned in the past, whenever you come out to Marine Corps Championships, it's on the team's dime. Like, we pay for everything. We pay for your airfare out there. We pick you up from the airport. We provide meals and all that kind of stuff. You're making some per diem to cover and offset the cost. It's a week of happiness is what I will say.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just the exposure, like, it's stuff that is directly related to combat, styles of shooting that's directly related to combat, to where you will find yourself in situations where you have to solve a problem, and you might have to use those same skills whenever you go over to combat.
Yeah, another good part of it is just getting to know all the shooters in your region. I got some good contacts with the rest of the Marines who are into competitive shooting out in the Lejeune area and also the Quantico area. But also getting to meet the guys come from Hawaii and Pendleton. It was all good times.
So, since Marine Corps Championships, you and I haven't talked a whole lot since then, besides meeting up at the tactical games match. But I kept hearing, through Trevor Evan and others, Cardi B, I kept hearing like you basically kind of started your own small shooting team here on Camp Lejeune. How did that come about?
So Marines came up to me after the Mick East and also after championships, and they're like, "Hey, we know that Flatwoods has some matches, but what else is in the area?" And I was like, "Oh boy, you could shoot a match every weekend if you wanted to. North Carolina has an awesome scene." And at the time, it was just me and Sam Nelson, who you guys are currently looking at pulling over to the team, possibly. It was just him and me going to these matches. So it was really great to get a little band together. So yeah, we started text chains, started a little Facebook group just to put up the little. It's private, you can't find it. Yeah. We put a calendar up. And the way it always goes, like I did this back when I was at 2nd Intel, I used to do these all-hands emails. I'm like, "Hey, come out, shoot a match. Let's go. It's here. I'll walk you through the rules and everything. If you need to borrow a gun, I got a gun and kit." And, you usually get like maybe 6, 7 guys. But the problem is sustaining it, because right now ammo is difficult to come by. Mm-hmm. And it's difficult for like Marines in the barracks to,
even have a gun.
Exactly. Which, yes, you can store in the armory, but not a lot of guys are going to choose to do that.
I mean, what I used to do, and I know other people used to do, is they would just keep it at their friend's house.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the easiest way of doing something.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I would say we get guys who dip in and out, but the main crew that I've been running around with, Sam Nelson, Josh Cardenas, also another the youngest revolver shooter I've ever encountered, Ben Faust. So it's been a great group. We keep each other humble, and we also keep each other hungry.
Nice. Who's kind of continuing the legacy? Like, who's continuing going with you right now?
So
I know you just lost Cardi B because he just came up to the team.
I did. Yeah. So without going into specifics, I am working something along more official lines in terms of getting Marines on Lejeune the opportunity to shoot. It's still in its nascent stages, so I won't speak too much about it now. But you're right. Cardi left. Sam is probably going to leave in the next month. And Ben Faust is also EASing, so I got to find new blood. But kind of going back to what we're talking about with like USPSA and mentoring new shooters, I'd say that's kind of what I enjoy most about the sport. Mm-hmm. So I'm just sing my praises a little bit here. When Sam Nelson started, we showed up to a match together, and he just borrowed a friend's Glock, and he just showed up with SIF gear, and he just sent it. And I'd say about a year and a half later, he is consistently beating me, and he's developed into one heck of a shooter. And right now, teams are looking to pull him.
Yeah, that's kind of what we want. We don't necessarily always pull somebody from the mix. We take other people that we respect recommendations very seriously. So. And I know Steph Sergeant Rader and Major Hitchek and Sam Lorino, Sergeant Lorino, they went down and kind of scouted as well, and he was one of the guys that they saw. there's always a way that you're going to get to the team if you really want to. It's just how much work are you willing to put into it. We mentioned before that you kind of started your roots in 3-gun. You're doing mainly USPSA now because at the moment in North Carolina, there's only really 2 places where you can shoot 3-gun, and one place is Carolina Guns and Gear. The other place is Ant Hill, but that's generally like on the 5th Sunday or whatever it is of the month. So, you're only getting a few of those. It's really Carolina Guns and Gear, which is where you're going to compete. But it's one hell of a match. And if you're competing in USPSA on other weekends, that's just another match that you can go to and bring up your 3-gun skills. And you just got a shotgun, and you're going to be getting back into 3-gun again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for the recommendation on the mag extension and a bunch of other stuff. But, yeah, I'm excited. I think so. I started off in 3-gun, and one of the first things someone told me was, hey, you look like you got decent fundamentals. I recommend working on your pistol. Pistol is the hardest to shoot, and if you understand how to shoot that, it will translate into a lot of the other guns that you are shooting. Mm-hmm. And they were largely correct. It's helped in movement, aggression, stage planning. So I'm excited to go back to 3-gun with what I know, do some work on the quad loading, and then, just have a good time because 3-gun community is awesome.
I got to say, when you do go to your next 3-gun match, and I know it's probably going to be a Carolina Guns Gear match, let me know. Also, Bob Osbeck.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes up there with Archie, James Archbell. We kind of have a crew that goes and shoots together there. I haven't been back there in a while. It's just scheduling and everything. But we all need to, kind of the Lejeune crew, go compete together. So, let me know whenever you do that. That way we can, continue this. Let's link up at matches and whatnot.
Absolutely. I'm all for it.
And we hit on it before. We ran into each other at the tactical games match. It was like, oh, shit, you're here. Yeah. I forgot all about that. We happened to be within the same group.
Yeah.
You were squad 13.
Yeah.
I think I was squad 16.
Yeah.
But they all did the stage brief or the battle briefs together.
Right.
And then it rotated through. How did you find out and how did you get involved in tactical games?
So, as a lot of things do in this day and age, started with YouTube. Follow a channel called Wiseman Company, and one of their owners was running the tactical games. So it was initially billed as their tagline is CrossFit meets combat. It's a fitness competition that will also involve some shooting. So imagine a lot of functional fitness, hit style workouts, implements like farmer's carries, yokes, sandbags, and then at the end you got to put rounds on target with an elevated heartbeat and just
your forearms destroyed.
Yes, and a lot of other muscle groups as well. So I wanted to get into it. Didn't have the opportunity when I was out in California. As soon as I came out to North Carolina, I saw that they were doing it in Fayetteville. What I'll say about the tactical games back then was that it was fairly new. It was still being run by Tim Burke, former soft guy, and all his battle bosses, basically the ROs, in charge of each. They call each stage a battle. They were also soft guys. So I would say the organization wasn't where it is now. They've come a long way in terms of logistics and scheduling. And they just kind of threw stuff at you. And if you survived it, you survived it. Good. Some of the things they threw at us, they had a 150-pound sandbag. And I was the first to have to pick that thing up. And I also chose to pick it up in the dumbest way possible. I held it in front of my body and quickly burned out my back muscles and had to drag it the rest of the way. They would come up with a battle at the last minute that involved running over a bunch of berms. And they were initially planning on having us run with hot weapons, and we convinced them that was not a good idea. So that's not the way the games are now. They've come a long way. So I ran that first event, and at the end of it, my rifle was broken. I ran my Marine Corps issued plate carrier, which quickly found out that thing has a lot of limitations in terms of maneuverability and getting over obstacles. and also my body was pretty beaten up at the end of it. But I made it through. I didn't fare too poorly. But it made me want to get better. It made me want to reassess my fitness and my shooting, and then it made me want to get back into it. So, fortunately, due to COVID, I just had to take a big pause. And the next games that I was able to go to was at Tradecraft Range in Florida, about an hour away from where my in-laws are at, in Fort Myers, Florida. And cool facility. It's an abandoned max security prison.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So one of the battles, they have you run all the way into the prison and rescue a sandbag and come back. Made a lot of getting out of prison jokes on my way back just to keep my spirits up. So it was a good time. I brought a buddy of mine. I'm always trying to get others into shooting. So Lieutenant Josh Denner came with me, shot that. It was a good time. And then most recently, me and Chief and Officer Jared Homeyer, we went to the Panthera games, which is where we met you.
Yep.
We ran that. And then if you follow the shooting team's Instagram and Facebook, you saw the post about us, and we took 4th place.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun there. I will be completely honest. Whenever the night before the match, I was hoping to get off early, go see what kind of stages and what the battles were gonna look like. I finally got up to where I was staying at, and I was staying probably an hour away from where Panthera was, and I called Carla Herdzik up. I was just like, "Hey, Carla, I can't get up there and actually see what the stages look like, but what can I expect?" She's like, "Well, the one thing that you're worried about the most, you're going to be doing that." I was just like, son of a bitch.
Running.
Yep. She's like, "You're going to run for at least 3 miles, and you're running in a plate carrier and your rifle." I'm just like, son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
And I immediately got a lot of anxiety just from that. I was like, I can do everything else. I just hate running. And to be quite honest, I didn't prepare for the run portion like I should have, and it reflected. Everything else, like the functional fitness type stuff, it was great. I had a lot of fun with the yokes, with the farmers carries,
the sleds.
Yeah. That portion of it, it was like, okay, I know what I'm doing here. This is stuff I do all the time at my house gym, and bring it on. The run, it sent me for a mind fuck. After it was done, I was like, okay, that's over. I don't have to worry about it. Bring on the next challenge.
Yeah, I was joking to Jared that I went through the Kubler-Ross grief cycle at least 5 times during that run. So you said 3 miles. It was more like 4.5 miles.
It was 4.9 miles.
Oh, okay, so it was even longer.
Yes.
Emotionally, it felt a lot longer.
Oh, yeah.
And this was, by the time that our group got to it, it was the afternoon.
It was 1,300.
It was hot.
Yep.
There was only 2 points that had water.
Yep.
And I mean, Jared and I, we kept up a pretty good pace, and we passed a lot of broken souls on the way.
I was a broken soul. Yeah. If Sarah Williams did not stop when she did, I don't know how I would have finished. We called her our Blue Angel. She drove a blue Toyota, nice. Not a pickup truck, but one of their SUVs. Can't think of it right now.
Yeah.
She was driving that around, and I was like, she's our Blue Angel. Me and Bob both said that, and she gave me some electrolytes, and it kind of just immediately perked me up and allowed me to finish it. But that was the only part that I did not enjoy, and that was really my own doing.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the one stage which was most like 3-gun was the car stage. You're shooting from inside a vehicle, and I told Bob, I was like, let me just take the right side. I can get my hits, and I know I'm going to make all my hits. I was like, I know it's going to be a bit awkward for you taking the left side, but let me make the money where I know I can make the money and just be on the right side getting all the hits. And, I mean, that's what I did.
Yeah.
Those are some cool stages, though.
Yeah, that car stage in particular. So it's called El Cartel, and you're basically simulating shooting from a car, getting out of the car, engaging more targets, getting to the back of the car, opening the trunk, and then you had to what they call rescue Randies.
Yes.
So they're like what 150, 175 pound dummies.
Yep.
And you just had to drag them into the back of a Suburban, get it in there, close the doors, and get back in the front seat. So yeah, that was an awesome stage.
And you had 2 minutes and 30 seconds to do it.
You had to push the pace in
Yes.
terms of shooting. If you took your time, you would a lot of teams timed out.
Yeah.
It's funny that you're mentioning the sides. I started on the left side, and it definitely took me longer to shoot than it did Jared.
Mm-hmm. I think the stronger shooter should go on the right-hand side, personally. That way they can actually get the hits.
Yeah.
That's the mentality I did. Like, physically, that's an easy stage to do. So might as well put the strongest shooter where they're going to excel at.
Yeah.
It was a good time, though. I pushed myself in ways I haven't pushed myself before, or in a long time, I should say. It's been a while since I've activated some of those muscle groups.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're holding two 90-pound barbells while your buddy is shooting, and they can't shoot unless you're picking them up.
Right.
Once they're done shooting, both rifle and pistol, you can set them down, and hey, your buddy has to pick them up.
Right.
It brought a lot of different perspective and challenges into the mix of having to work as a team and while you're competing. And quite honestly, it was something I haven't experienced a lot. And I pictured, at first I kind of pictured it as, I don't go to a lot of gyms anymore. I have everything I need at home.
Same.
And typical gym mentality, like, at like a Gold's Gym or something like that, like people are just there, and like there's the typical gym assholes, the meatheads, and this was the complete opposite. People can joke about the CrossFit community all they like, but you know what? They're a community where they're legitimately trying to help each other and make each other better. And that is the same type of vibe I got off of the tactical games. Like,
absolutely.
Like, I know one of the two of the guys that were competing to my right, they had the fitness side down, and they straight up told us, like, we can work out all day long, but we can't shoot for shit.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we're talking each other through how we want to do stuff on the physical level, and then like whenever it comes to the shooting portion, it's like, hey, do this or shoot it like this, use your sling like this will help you get the stability. It's like, yeah, we're there at a competition, but we're also trying to make each other better, because a lot of these guys are cops, military dudes.
Yep.
And here I am, I'm on the Marine Corps shooting team. I consider myself a good shooter. I know what I'm doing. So if I can just make them a little bit better and impart some of the knowledge I have on them, it's going to help their community be safer. It's going to help them do their jobs to protect their communities. And that's the aspect I take.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've drawn comparisons between tactical games and the 3-gun community, just in terms of like togetherness and kind of like being on the same page and helping each other out. But that's what keeps bringing me back to the tactical games. It's, it is a competition, but at the end of the day, everyone just wants each other to get through because it is grueling. And it is gonna bring you to a point where you're like, man, I don't know if I can get through this next part, whether it's a hill on that long run or you got to get that yoke up. Yeah. And then I would also say that if you have a kit set up, like a battle belt, a rifle, and a plate carrier, and you want to see if they're going to hold up to some pretty gnarly stuff, and tactical games is a good place to find out. It's a validation at the end of the day. Like I said, in my first games, my rifle was not put together well, and I had a broken rifle at the end.
Yeah. I saw a lot of broken rifles, a lot of scopes that lost zeros.
Oh, yeah.
I saw multiple setups like that just occur, and it sucks, but it's also good validation if that is your duty gear and you have to go out with that duty gear.
Right.
It's better for it to happen at a competition than to happen in real life.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, one of the cool things was, and I wasn't even planning this, like, I just showed up to the match. You know, Bob Miner, he was my partner, and I pull in. You know, I think I got there around 7:30 or so. Got out of the truck. I was getting my stuff together, gonna go walk and do the check-in portion, and then guy called out my name. And I looked over and I was like, he was like, Gunlock? I was like, Pim? And we're like, you know, we haven't seen each other in 15 years. Like, since 2006, we were both in 3rd Battalion, 2nd Marines together.
Nice.
And here we are at the tactical games. It was just like, holy shit, dude. That was really cool. And to make it even better, he was on my same squad, and he was in the lane right next to me. And, like, we just, like, me and Bob and then and Kyle and his partner, you know, they're both SWAT officers in New Jersey. We were just pushing each other along the way. It was like, hey, who's going to finish this first? And like, there were times where we beat them. I was like, all right, yeah, we fucking got them. Yeah. And it was cool. And there were times they got us. Yep. It was just a different experience, like something I've never experienced before. And it's bringing me back. And I know, 2 weeks after, like, you know, you and I were kind of talking, just messaging back and forth. And I was like, hey, there's the South Carolina match in, like, May, beginning of May. And then there's also one in July and up in Ohio. And I was, you know, in my head, I was thinking, okay, I could do South Carolina in May. Fuck going to Ohio in July. I don't, like...
Yeah, I tend to avoid the summer games. So I volunteered at the one in Fayetteville, and they had to do a 5-mile ruck movement through the cornfields at the range complex, and this was in the dead of summer in North Carolina.
Fuck that.
Yeah. The ambulance got called for one of the competitors. Like, it will take you to your limit.
So, if somebody here that's listening wants to get involved in that, whether they be Marines or civilians, what would you tell them? How would you tell them to get started?
So, Tactical Games does a good job of marketing themselves. I would start with their YouTube page, because they will show you some samples of their battles. And while the layouts of their battles change, the implements they use generally don't. So you have to be prepared for rope climbs, farmers' carries, obstacles. And another interesting thing about it is, like I mentioned, that Florida was at a max security prison. The one I'm going to next week at the Government Training Institute in South Carolina, that's at a decommissioned nuclear facility. So I'm going to be running through tunnels with my bump helmet and a headlamp, just to make sure I don't get lost. But I digress. If you're interested in it, the YouTube, just look up Tactical Games. There's been a lot of footage. And I would say, going into it, I thought I was a decent shooter and in decent shape. And I validated some things, and and also got exposed to some other things I needed to work on. So just go into it with open minds. And that's what competition is, right? It exposes your weaknesses. It gives you things that you need to work on. But if you're interested, tacticalgames.com, they got a calendar. 2022 is already out there. If you want to know which ones I'll be at, I'm going to be at GTI in September, I think 23rd, 24th. I'm going to the championship in Texas in November. And then I'm going to be at Sawmill with Gunny Gunlock. And that's May of next year?
Yeah, it's like end of April, beginning of May.
So that's what I got coming up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. And I'm going to be ready for the run this time.
Yeah, you got to get those flak runs in. You can't, it's not something you can improvise.
No. But other than that, do you have anything else to leave the listeners with?
Yeah, so I'll just take a second and talk directly to anyone who may be in the Lejeune area. If you've been listening to this podcast and if you've been looking at competitive shooting for a while, I would just say just send it. Just show up, like, with what you got. If you are interested in getting to USPSA or some of these types of competitions, look me up. It's Frank.Gao. I'm the only Gao in the Gao.
Gao.
Gao. hard to miss. So shoot me an email, and I won't turn you away. I'll probably add you to the Facebook group. I'll tell you what's coming up. If you don't have your own stuff, I have a stable of loaner guns. You're going to need to pay for ammo and a match fee, and you're going to need to find your way to the range. But I will coach you way through your first match, and if you like it enough, then I'll tell you what other matches are in the area, which ones I'm going to be at, and you're welcome to come out and use what I got. I understand that cost is pretty prohibitive for shooting sports, and I'm passionate about getting Marines involved because of all the reasons I've talked about throughout this podcast. So yeah, that's my pitch. Be on the lookout. I am trying to work some things. My time in Lejeune is short-lived. I will be moving next summer. But I care enough about shooting sports that I am trying to leave something. I am trying to establish something in Camp Lejeune where Marines can officially go out and compete.
No, we appreciate that. It's nice to see somebody taking the lead on that from the shooting team perspective and from just, some grumpy gunny that's about to retire. It's nice to see that somebody else is taking the reins and taking the lead on doing something like that because, people, especially at Lejeune, I spent 13 years of my career on Lejeune and, I kind of figured stuff out on my own. I always had Bob Osbeck, Dave Maston, and we would kind of have our own small group of people that we would go travel with, and we would find other Marines that we would go to matches with, and it was just something that we always do. People are like, oh, there's nothing to do at Lejeune, it sucks at Lejeune, this and that. Well, you know what? You kind of always have to find something. You have to go out there and find it. Like, I got into hunting whenever I came to Lejeune. I grew up, I'm a city boy from Miami. I always wanted to go hunting, but I never had the opportunity because I'm from the city. Had that opportunity whenever I got here. I was a volunteer firefighter while I was down here. I loved playing ice hockey, and I played that down in Wilmington. Then I got into 3-gun shooting. I was doing college classes. It was always a matter of finding something to do because nobody else is going to find it for you, or you're just going to get sucked into going to the tattoo parlors, which there's nothing wrong with that. Whenever I retire, I'm getting fully sleeved.
Yeah.
Or it's going to the strip clubs, and it's just like, why waste your money on something that's not going to last, where you can actually go do something that's going to, 1, benefit your career, and 2, get you outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, and get you outside of Jacksonville. I don't advocate sticking around. You're right, there's a lot of things in North Carolina that are worth going out and seeing. And I will add that, outside of the Marine Corps, doing tactical games in USPSA, I've made some really close friends.
Same.
I'm friends with I have some friends in Charlotte that I met in my first tactical games. They watched me pick up that 150-pound sandbag, and they were like, hey, that didn't look fun. What do you recommend? I was like, yeah, don't do it the way I did it. Just get it up on your shoulder. And we're still friends to this day. I've stayed with them multiple times. They've met my wife. They shoot 3 guns, so I'm probably going to see them when I go out to Carolina Guns and Gear in the future. But yeah, there's a whole world out there, shooting sports. I understand it might be daunting, but like I said before, just get out there and send it.
And, reach out to me. Reach out to Captain Gao. We're on the Gao. We're reach out to the Marine Corps Shooting Team Facebook and Instagram page. If you don't know where to get started, we can be that resource you need to help point you in the right direction and get your foot in the door when it comes to that stuff. So we're here to help. There are people out there actively wanting more people to come out and participate. So just come out and do it.
Yeah, open invite. Hit me up. I won't turn you away.
Other than that, I got nothing. Do you have anything else, sir?
No, I don't. Thanks for having me. This was really fun. And, looking forward to seeing you at more competitions.
Oh, absolutely. Can't wait.
Yeah.
To the listeners, let us know how we're doing. Appreciate you listening. Give us some likes, give us some comments, give us feedback. We'd love to hear it. Other than that, have a good one.